Hi friends, how's it going? I hope you're having a wonderful day. If you're new here, hi, I'm Gio and I make art videos. And today I'm gonna share with you 10 of my best tips on how to draw better. These are not tips on long-term, like
draw every day and keep practicing and you're gonna get better.
These are like actual tricks that you can apply to your art today if you want to and see an actual difference in your drawings. My first tip for you is a little basic and boring, but hear me out. Stay. Use reference pictures, okay? If you're like me, you probably want to draw like creative things and you want to draw things from your imagination, and this is amazing. But if you start using reference pictures for whatever your ideas are, so like let's say I want to draw a frog eating a donut, you can look for a picture of a frog and then a picture of a donut, and then you're gonna have support for your original idea. So I'm not telling you to grab a picture and just copy that picture. Like that's good too, like if you want to do that for a study, but when you come up with a really good idea, still go after those reference pictures because they help build your visual memory. And then with time, if you draw 10 frogs using 10 different reference pictures in 10 different drawings, I guarantee you're gonna be drawing frogs by imagination so much better. Second tip, draw geometrical shapes before you start sketching. So when you start sketching your ideas on paper, instead of like actually outlining your idea and going straight to the idea, turn everything into geometrical shapes, create blocks on your artwork to actually position every element on paper first, and then you can start sketching on top of your shapes. Let's say you're gonna draw a flower and the flower is like a little bit of a round shape in general. You can just draw a circle just to see where that flower is gonna be on paper. When I started to draw portraits, I would start like the eyes, the nose, the mouth, and then when I see the face is like concentrated to the left of the paper or something like that, it's so hard to have a good notion of your space when you're just starting out. So drawing geometrical shapes is like an easy way you can like position everybody on paper and then just follow those guidelines to have a more balanced composition. And also, this is a tip for you to take with you on your life. You can start changing your mindset a little bit on like how you observe your life around you. Like when you're doing nothing or when you're just waiting in the subway or whatever, you can start turning things you see into geometrical shapes. This will start helping you really understand the proportions and the anatomy of things in general, and it will definitely help you be more confident in your art, in your lines, in your ideas. And actually this leads to my third tip, which is when you're gonna use a reference picture to support yourself, turn the reference picture upside down and draw upside down. I know it's weird. Like, let me show you like this example here. This is an example I did for a Skillshare class. And when you turn the picture upside down to use it as a reference, your brain stops like analyzing things and interpreting things. So like, let's say I'm drawing this hand holding a glass, but when it's upside down, my brain doesn't like automatically knows this is a finger, this is a nail, this is the glass, this is a lime, right? Like my brain is taking a little bit longer to understand what all of this is, so it doesn't give me information on how it should be when I draw. Is this making sense? Like, we've seen hands holding glasses a million times before in different positions, in different ways, right? So your brain thinks it knows what it looks like, and then it's gonna try to help you. So when you turn the picture upside down, you're kind of like give yourself a blank space to actually just draw that picture and not have any other influences in your way. So looking at these two drawings I did on the same day, by the way, the first one, I just drew it without doing the geometrical shape thing, without really like using any technique to draw from reference, just by literally like just looking at the reference and trying to draw it. And the second one, I turned the reference upside down and used the geometrical shape technique. Do you see a difference? I mean, it's pretty clear, but this just proves that like if you use the right techniques, it makes a total difference. And it's like just a way to do it and not a skill that you built like throughout many years. The fourth tip I have for you is to draw things that are exciting for you. I know this seems a little like, okay, yeah, I know, but I'm really bad at drawing like things just to study. Like, you know, when you have those like tips on like draw faces every day, I'm bored just talking about it. I have a really hard time drawing things just to like for no reason. You know what I mean? So if you are like me, my suggestion for you is to draw things that are actually exciting, original ideas you have, and like use those things as your study. To do this drawing that I'm showing you right now, the initial idea was to draw a frog on top of a mushroom, but the idea itself was an original idea that I had in my mind, and then I used reference pictures to support those ideas. So it became a study. I definitely learned more on how to draw a dragonfly and how to draw a frog and how to draw a mushroom because I used reference pictures, and it really helped me. But I wasn't doing like a series of mushrooms just to study how to draw mushrooms. You know what I mean? So my suggestion for you is to find things you're excited about, like draw things that make you happy and make you feel something and make you want to draw, like things that make you feel proud in the end. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with repetitive drawing to study and to learn, but what if it could be more fun? Now, tip number 5 is a advanced tip, but not as complicated as you would think. Add lighting with intention. The light in your drawing can help you tell a story through your illustration. Maybe there is like a main character, maybe there's some sort of shadow and light concept that you want to bring to your drawing. And when you start asking yourself those questions like, who is the main character? What is really happening here? Like, how is this character feeling? Then you can start asking yourself, how can the light help me tell this story? How can the light help the viewer feel the way that I want them to feel? Do you know what I mean? So you start like creating intention, and when you decide where your light is coming from, you know where the shadows are going to be because the light is going to cast a shadow on everything else in your drawing. And you can mark a little L for light and S for shadow on different corners of your drawing, like with a pencil, just so you don't forget and you keep like following that same direction of light. To me, this makes the drawing much more interesting and compelling. Now, tip number 6 has to do with the shading, and it's to save your old pens. Very practical tip right now. This is so important to create good shading when you're using ink pens. The more you use your pen and the more familiar you are with it, the more confident you're gonna be and the more control you're gonna have when you're using it. And you can control the amount of ink that will come out of your pen on the paper. So let me show you an example. This is a new pen that I'm using right now in this example. And when I shade with the new pen, holding the pen like vertically, look how much ink comes down on the paper. I see very strong lines and lines are very clear. But then if I tilt the pen a little bit, like it's the same pen, I get a lot less ink coming out on the paper, and you get like smoother lines, more delicate lines, and you can just play with it if you want. Let's say you have an old pen that you can use. Look how different the lines are when I'm using the old pen. I have so much less ink coming out from the pen. I get this like more brittle lines and more delicate, more smooth. When you look like in nature, if you look out, you don't see clear black lines everywhere, right? So if you can draw more delicate, smoother lines, you're gonna create more realistic effects on your drawing. So yeah, save your old pens. Now, tip number 7 has to do with composition. So when you're drawing multiple elements on paper, so like let's say you're drawing flowers, try avoiding even numbers and draw odd numbers for your elements. This is interesting because like our brain tends to like put things into pairs. So if you have 4 flowers or 6 flowers, your brain's going to group them into groups of 2s, and it becomes a little boring maybe, or less dynamic. So when you create odd numbers, you create this like natural flow that goes from one element to another. You can also use triangulation to create like this invisible triangles on your drawings, and this is a super dynamic movement. So if you want your illustration to become more interesting interesting and more like create some like natural movement to it. Odd numbers, triangulation, you'll thank me later. Now tip number 8 is a little bit of like the opposite of number 7, but symmetry is really calming and grounding, and all forms of art are beautiful, right? So you don't really have to draw dynamic things all the time. You can draw stillness as well. So I like drawing, for example, mandalas or like these geometrical, symmetrical things. And first, they are super therapeutic to draw. To me, it's super peaceful to draw with symmetry. It gives me a sense of control when I'm feeling like crazy anxious or like just stressed, or when I'm feeling like my life is out of control. Drawing things with symmetry really kind of brings me back. And I kind of feel like it creates that sensation on whoever is looking at your illustration, right? So this is a tip for you if you want to incorporate that concept in your illustrations. Use symmetry. Now, tip number 9 is kind of like how to come up with great ideas for drawings. This is something I struggled so much in the beginning. Sometimes it's like, I mean, I kind of want to draw. I have the time, I have the pen, I have the paper, I have the chair. I am here, I am ready, but where is the idea? Am I right? Like, I don't know. So something I do when I'm out of ideas is to do like a little word association coming from a starting point. The starting point can be literally anything. Could be a feeling, could be a phrase, could be a character you like, could be a movie you just watched. You can just like literally pick like a random thing. It could be a dream you had, anything at all. Okay, abstract, subjective, tangible thing, anything. So you choose that starting point, and then from there, you're gonna like write on paper everything that comes to mind relating to that object. So like, for example, if your starting point is water, maybe you're gonna start writing fish, coral, plant, blue, sadness, tears, cup. You know what I mean? Like you start like writing, just letting it go, no judgment. Like you're not gonna use all of those words, but you just write everything down, like allow your consciousness to be free. And then you can circle a few elements that you like and turn that into a drawing, like turn that into a composition. I never did that exercise and didn't come out with an idea, even though it's like random, but I kind of like drawing those like surrealistic kinds of things. So this really works for me, and I hope it works for you too. My 10th and last tip for you is to have patience. I know this sounds boring and kind of like everyone knows this, but I have real legit examples of this. Okay, so like when you're in a hurry, when you're stressed, when you're like bored with your drawing and you're not like feeling the vibe of the drawing, like you're just gonna mess it up. You're gonna mess it up. Like it's inevitable because your hand's not there. Your hand's not connected to the drawing, right? So patience. If you're not feeling the vibe, create that environment for yourself. Something that helps for me is to put like a podcast or a show in the background, so I'm like fully engaged in that moment. So like there is a show engaging me, there is my drawing engaging me, I have my nice cup of tea engaging me, like I'm comfortable. There's nothing really like pulling me away from it because there's so much, right? So I create that for myself. I create a very overwhelmingly comfortable spot when I'm drawing, especially when I have this like boring parts of drawing, like stippling or hatching, or the slow processes of filling a page. And sometimes you just have to go for a walk and finish tomorrow, okay? Sometimes we're just tired and it's okay to go rest. Now, these were my 10 tips. These 10 tips are really my whole process on drawing. Really, I hope this was helpful for you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps me out. If you want to check out my Skillshare classes, the link is in the description. You can get 30 days for free. And I have like, I think 12 classes in the platform now. And there's super fun drawing classes for you to binge watch. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm gonna see you next week. Bye!